Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 198 of the RRBG Podcast. The RRBG Podcast is a proud member of the Podbelly Network. Go to podbelly.com to check out the list of amazing shows that we got going on, including Robots for Eyes, and if you're into something a little more on the paranormal side, there's Paranormal Punchers. If you'd like to take a deep dive into the dark multiverse of Stephen King, there's a podcast for that as well. Tons of great shows, all about different topics. I'm sure you'll find something you'll love. Go to podbelly.com and support the network. Have you ever had one of those dreams where you wake up and you're naked? Like at work or at school? Super embarrassing, and I don't know how to stop it. Or at least I thought. Until I started wearing sheath underwear. Now, whenever I enter the dream world, I'm protected by sheath underwear. It's so good that it protects you in other dimensions. You never again have to fear of being embarrassed in front of all your friends and family for not having any pants on. Sheath underwear has some of the softest material I've ever felt. It almost feels like I'm not wearing anything. It has a special pouch in the front for your private part. They even have some for ladies. They have face masks, all kinds of stuff. Go to their website, sheathunderwear.com. Use the promo code RRBG and save 20%. No longer do you have to fear waking up with no pants on in the middle of school and your school crush is there and she's pointing and laughing because you're naked, and it's cold out, so it's all shrunken down. Get sheath underwear and protect yourself in your dreams. This podcast is also brought to you by El Yucateco Hot Sauce. You know, I gotta tell you, I've been eating a lot more Mexican food these days as I live in LA, and it's just inevitable at this point. So having a really good hot sauce at my disposal is kind of crucial. And my go-to right now is El Yucateco Hot Sauce. They are a staple. They come in so many different flavors. You can get the verde sauce with jalapenos, or you can get the habanero sauce. They have this special like black sauce, which is a special reserve sauce. I mean, for whatever level Scoville you can handle, I'm sure you can find yourself a sauce here. And if you go to shop elucateco.com, use the promo code RRBG and you'll get 10% off of your purchase. This podcast is also brought to you by Saints Joints. Go to saintsjoints.com and check out all the awesome products they have there, including the new Book of Saints that comes with 4 packs of pre-rolled joints. This is incredible, lavish, luxurious looking gold foil stash box. The works. It's the best looking stash box I've seen. Make sure to go pick one up before they're all gone. And also check out the new hash-infused pre-rolls. Don't forget, it's saintsjoints.com, and make sure you tell them that we sent you. In this episode, it's the return of the homie Travis Miguel of Atreyu and Fake Figures. We caught up to see how he was doing with the pandemic. We talked a lot about mental health and social media. We talked about the new Atreyu music that's coming out. We talked about his other project, Fake Figures, and how they're finishing up an album as well. We talked a little bit about video games. We talked a little bit about VR technology and other technological advancements. It was a fun conversation. It was great catching up with the homie, and I hope you guys enjoy listening to it. Please make sure to follow him on social media, on Instagram, at Travis Miguel. Follow the band Atreyu. I believe it's at Atreyu Official. And also follow Fake Figures. And please check out the Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/RRBG. Cheers. What's up, Travis Miguel of Atreyu? How are you, brother?
Hello. Good to see you, bud.
Good seeing you too, man. I love the artwork on your walls.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for setting up there so I could see that. That's awesome. The David Bowie mugshot is perfect, and Prince. That's a mugshot for Prince too, right?
It is. They were bad boys back in the 70s.
Who would have thunk?
Right.
How have you been, dude? How's the pandemic treating you? I know, obviously, there's no tours, but you guys, recently dropped some music, so, I mean, something's cooking, right?
Yes. During this pandemic, we've been, we wrote and recorded a whole album.
Nice.
But obviously with the pandemic, that's kind of thrown a wrench in everything. Like the whole program. And obviously we're not the only band to be dealing with this. So it's just kind of playing it by ear right now as far as like when it's going to be released. And, because I mean, it's obviously impossible to predict the future. Like it's impossible to predict next week even.
Right.
So,
yeah.
so yeah, I mean, like I said, we've just kind of been sitting on it for now. But that being said, we're still, trying to come up with, some kind of plan on obviously when to release, videos, photos, artwork, stuff like that. So, yeah, there is something in the works for sure.
That's good, man. I mean, that's more than what some bands are doing. A lot of bands are just tapping out because they're like, well, what's the point? But
Right.
the point is that we'll eventually get out of this, and you gotta, you don't want to wait. You don't want to be behind and start after everything's done,
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, I was looking at some of the information about the new song, and, I saw that, you guys, Alex, the vocalist, left the band, and now Brandon's taken over, like, main fronting duties.
Yep.
And you got a new drummer. And, I got to say that I love the new song. It's heavy as hell. I like the direction it's going.
Thank you.
Has that been the reaction from most fans? Everybody stoked on that idea, or?
I mean, for the most part, yeah. I mean, there's obviously, naysayers and people who are bummed out, and that's totally fine. It's I mean, we all expected that because change in any shape or form really can be very uncomfortable. Especially, for a band that loses their front man,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of bands, they either thrive or it's just, it just doesn't resonate the same with the listeners. So, but luckily, I mean, it's not like we got a complete stranger coming in and moving up to the frontman spot.
Right. Yeah.
Brandon obviously did, just about 50% of the vocals on all Atreyu stuff anyway. So, and he's been working his ass off, kind of transitioning from literally like the dude from behind the drums to like literally out into the front of the stage. So, yeah, I mean, that being said too, like we, not this past summer, but was it 2019? Anyway, we did a tour in Europe, and Alex at the time, he had injured his back and he literally couldn't sit on a plane for, 11, 12 hours to fly over to Europe. So he had to sit that one out. So we went over to Europe with this lineup that we have now. So it was already like, there wasn't a whole lot of thought. It was kind of a no-brainer. Like we know Kyle Rosa, who is now playing drums for us. It was almost like that was like his tryout, and we didn't even know it.
Right.
So it just is kind of weird how things panned out. But yeah, Kyle's been killing it. And yeah, we're just, waiting just like everybody else to get back out there and, do what we do.
Yeah, that's such a rough decision, when you put out or when you record an album during this time now. It's like, yeah, there's a point, but the majority of the money and I guess the majority of the thing about releasing an album is being able to do the tour cycle. If you can't do the tour cycle, then I had this, I forget who I was talking to about this, but they said that, if you release an album now without a tour cycle, it's going to be forgotten in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
But, there's nothing keeping it in the attention span of the, ever growing, shorter attention span of everybody else. Like everybody wants stuff like immediately, instantly streaming now. So
exactly.
Yeah. And there's also the option of you put it out and you do one of those live stream shows, but that's just one thing, that's one night of the week.
Yeah. I mean, we actually did 2 live stream performances at the end of November, and then another one at the beginning of December, which was cool. We had a lot of fun doing it. A lot of work went into it. There was actually way more work than I thought was going to be required.
Yeah.
But it was cool because it was like it gave us something to do during this, this pandemic where nobody can do anything. But even the concept of a live stream thing, I could be completely wrong. I don't know, but it kind of seems to be losing its luster. We've had 9-10 months of it now, and at first it was really cool to see, bands doing this special performance that people can watch in the comfort of their own home, almost like it's, kind of just like specifically for them in a way. But like I said, I think it might have lost its luster, and I don't think I'm again, I could be completely wrong, but just kind of seems like people are not necessarily tired of it, but it's kind of like, okay, yeah, we've seen this whole live stream thing. It was cool. We'd really like to be getting back into the live setting in a venue where it's loud and there's people going crazy and there's actual merch to buy and you can go to the bar, get a drink or whatever, just the whole live show experience. And I think through this pandemic, I think most people now have kind of like realized how much we might have been taking that for granted. Mm-hmm. I mean, I definitely have, being that I'm older now, so it's kind of harder for me to get out and go out and just, muster up the energy to get out and like go to a show. But now I'm just like, I'd give anything to sit in traffic going up to LA to go to a
time
show.
Looking for parking.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like as much as I hated it when we were able to do it, now I'm like, oh man, please, I'll sit in traffic for hours. I don't care. I just want to, see a live show and get, have my eardrums be blasted.
No, I feel you. I mean, it was always like that for me from the beginning. That the live stream thing never really connected with me. Some bands actually, it's funny. I kind of see it the other way around. Like now I see that after everybody doing it, some bands are doing it uniquely enough to where it's drawing my attention. Like, okay, they're doing an experience. Like Every Time I Die is killing it with they did their live stream, but it was like infused with like a skit show and there was wrestlers involved. And I mean, it's just, it's a different experience. It's not just 4 windows of bedrooms, with people performing, or even like just a stage show, like like a live band performing. There needs to be some kind of production value to it in order to justify people paying $20 or whatever for a stream, because that's the other thing I've noticed, like convincing people to drop $20 for a video that they're used to just being able to YouTube or something from the band. Like obviously it's a different experience, but in their heads they're like, I could just YouTube their music videos or YouTube a live show and I'll be, it's the same. It's like, you got to convince people that no, it's not just that. Otherwise, it's not worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to get, I mean, now, like I said, now that we've had it for 9-10 months, you really got to get creative with it and have some kind of standout quality or aspect to it where, like you said, it's going to draw people in and be like, okay, that's different. I want to see that. I'm going to pay the $15-$20, whatever it is, to sit down at home and watch it.
Yeah, but even that, like, that's cool, and I appreciate that from some of the bands because it just it's something to add to your discography or your history of the band. As you look back, you can release it as a DVD or a Blu-ray or whatever.
Yeah.
But we definitely need to have shows again. That's something that cannot go away. That's one thing I've learned. Like, I used to think I could live in the virtual world. I can live in VR and I'll be okay. But I'm like, no, I miss pushing people in a mosh pit. I really do. I really miss the energy of just the crowd reaction is really what does it for me. Like, just even more so than the band. Like, if I'm at a show, and I guess this happened to me just because, years of becoming friends and having homies in the industry, like, I now appreciate the crowd being into it more than I appreciate the actual band performance. It's weird. Like if the band's into it, that means you guys are killing it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's the overall kind of the vibe in the room. It can be very infectious. If everybody's just standing there staring at their shoes or staring at their phone, while a band is playing, it's just kind of like, okay, I guess this is cool. But if
Yeah.
like you said, like if you see everybody going off or just losing their minds or just straight up having a good time, it enhances the whole experience of the show, whether you realize it or not.
hmm That's really become a major thing for me in my older years. Like, and then not just with music, but also like pro wrestling and all the other things that I watch. Like, I love pro wrestling, but if there isn't an audience there cheering people on, like I'm just kind of checked
It's
out.
weird.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
weird. And
Yeah.
music also, like I am, I appreciate bands releasing heavy music right now because it is a heavy time, and it's like it's a theme of the time, I guess you would say. Like heavy times require heavy music, but I mean, what am I gonna do? Mosh with my dog and my my wife? Like, I
And
mean,
you could.
I could, I do. I wrestle with the dog all the time, but it's just we need to get back to shows, and I don't know how we're gonna do that. I mean, the vaccination thing sounds good, and making people have like a vaccination card. If you're vaccinated, you can come in. That's cool, I guess. But there's going to be a lot of people that won't want to do it. Won't want to get the card. They'll think of it like I've had friends compare it to fucking, Nazi Germany where you had to show your papers. I'm like, come on, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a far cry to what we're experiencing now.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's,
No, this is communism, man. We're I'm like, no, we're all sick, and nobody wants to get sick. That's a different story. Like, I think mostly for me, I'm not that worried about the virus in the sense that if I do get it, I know I'm healthy enough that I'll probably, survive it with no issues. But who knows? We don't know enough
yeah.
about it. I don't know. What if, like, oh, hey, back when you were 10, you got pneumonia, and that was enough to ruin you. So now like, there's stuff that you wouldn't really take into consideration. Like, for me anyway. Like, I know when I was younger, I had pneumonia. So who knows if I get it, if it damages my lungs and I'm screwed. I don't want that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the scary thing about it is, like you said, we don't know. Some people have had it and they didn't even know they had it.
Exactly.
And
No
some
symptoms at
people,
all. Yeah.
yeah. And then some people are practically on their deathbed and, they have a clean bill of health. So yeah, it's still um, it's just being not knowing, I think is what is the scariest part about it.
Have you picked up any new hobbies since all of this? Since you have extra time, you're not on the road as much.
um, Not necessarily picked up new hobbies, but like I've been playing guitar a lot more. I've been writing for my other project, Fake Figures.
Shout
I've
out to
been,
Bob.
yep, Bob Bradley.
Yeah.
I was just with him last night. We were doing some writing.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going to be hopefully putting out a full length LP at some point. I'm about 7 songs into it. So hopefully maybe another four more songs, 5 more songs. But like you said, I've got nothing but time, so there's no huge rush or anything.
Yeah.
If anything, it's just something to keep me busy. Because like I said, I've got nothing but time. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to stay sane. Really.
Do you have a day job at all?
No, God forbid.
I was gonna say if there's a lot of musicians they keep a day job in case something happens. But if you're able to live off of your music like that, then that's something I haven't been able to wrap my head around. Like, man, I'd be losing it. I guess I'd be creating music like you're doing, but still, like at one point, if I didn't have a job to keep my mind occupied, I'd be freaking out.
No, yeah, I definitely have it seems like at least once a week for, at least a few minutes at a time, the hamster in the wheel just starts spinning and my brain just gets the best of me and I start freaking out. and the walls start closing in, and then thankfully I'm able to pull myself out of that. But yeah, it's some days are harder than others.
Yeah, man.
And everybody's going through that. Some have it better than others. Some have it worse than others. The whole mental health issue, I think comes into play because none of us have ever experienced anything like this, and there was no, training guide, or there was no handbook on how to deal with something like this. And I've heard that relationships are ending because people are spending way too much time with each other because you have nowhere to go.
Yeah. You get to really figure out if you love that person you're living with.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough that I think the wife and I are good. Like we haven't really fought during this time, which I know I've heard of a lot of people going through that. So, and that's tough, man. It's tough, especially you know, if it's not just the wife, but like if you're living with your parents or like a sibling of some kind, and you just start hating them. It's like, oh no.
Right. All because of the pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, the mental health thing was starting to build up as a problem even right before the pandemic. People were talking about that with, certain musicians taking their lives and, the social media bullying causing people to take their lives. So like it was starting already to ramp up, and this just kind of, I think, escalated it so much because it's basically forcing everyone to be on social media, like because there's nothing else to do. Like everybody's on their TikToks and their Twitters and their, whatevers. So it's only causing more damage for certain people. And I've gone and, maybe people think it's annoying, but I go and I text people all the time. Like, hey, how you doing? Holding up good? You all right? Like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
It's always trying to check in with people. And I, sometimes I worry that maybe I'm coming off as like weird. Like, why is this dude texting me? It's like, I'm just concerned. I'm concerned about people. I've lost enough people to be worried.
No, that's good though. For sure. Because this pandemic it's putting everybody through the ringer, and it's good to just give a shout out to somebody or just hit somebody up real quick. Hey, how you doing? Like you were doing. I've done that too. Kind of just done a brief check in on friends here and there. And people have hit me up too, just like, hey bud, how you doing? Like, pandemic treating you okay? Yeah, it sucks, but the mental health thing, like you said, the pandemic definitely did not help.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, just like you yourself, I mean, I know that you and I both talked about this before, with the drinking and keeping yourself away from that and keeping yourself away from any substances. Like, this time you see the news, you see the numbers going up on alcohol sales, you see people are turning to that, and it's like, this is it's damaging on all fronts. It's if you stay home, protect yourself from the virus, but then there's that risk, and then if you go out, you're risking yourself of catching the virus and getting people sick, and it's like it's a rough spot, but I think we're getting past it. I think
for sure. Yeah,
I think we're getting good.
If there was ever a time where I could have used a drink, it would have been 2020.
What a year, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I held strong.
That's good.
And but yeah, a drink definitely would have come in handy. But it is what it is. So instead, I turned to video games and junk food.
So what are you playing? What video games have kept you sane during these times?
I spent a lot of hours playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh, okay.
I just finished that, and I started last week. I started Watch Dogs Legion.
Okay. Yeah, I heard about that one. I haven't played that one yet. Yeah,
I'm still trying to get the hang of it, but anything to keep me busy.
Yeah, my video game time has definitely gone up. I've always been a gamer, but now I'm just like knocking out games like left and right. Like I started Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but I haven't finished it. And then I picked up that Ghost of Tsushima on the PlayStation,
That's a great game.
That one's got me hooked right now. Very beautifully done, artistically done. Reminds me of old school samurai movies that I'm a fan of. So I love that it has that mode where you can play it in black and white. Like yeah. So that's been taking a lot of my time. And then I've also been, inspired musically to do something. But every time I stop to actually write, that message of, what's the point? There's no touring. Like, what are we going to do this for? That starts creeping up. And I have to figure out how to fight that and just keep making music anyway.
Yeah. I mean, with anything that anybody does, there has to be, or at least we think there has to be some end game or some purpose or some kind of finish line. But when it comes to like the situation that we're in now, I mean, just to get your mind off of stuff for a few hours, that right there in itself is worth it.
Yeah.
For me, anyway, instead of just sitting there dwelling on, how am I going to afford rent next month when I don't have a job and I can't work, or my kids can't go to school, or, all the stuff that we've all been dealing with. It's anything to get your mind off it for half hour to however long, it's definitely beneficial.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, you yourself, do you have family that you live with? You live on your own?
It's just me and my wife.
And your wife?
And our little cat. Yeah. Both of our parents live here in Orange County, so they're not far at all. So I stop by their place, once a week just to say hi, maybe get a free lunch out of it. Check up on them because they're not exactly young anymore, so I got to kind of keep an eye on them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and have they? Because I know that they're doing vaccines now for a certain age group. Do they fall into that age group? Can they get the shot now? Or
yeah, actually, my parents both got the vaccine last week.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah, so they're stoked.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's needed. You got to protect them because that's the main, I guess, target victim of the virus. People of the older age.
Yeah, they're the most vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's good. I'm glad to hear that they got the vaccine, and that way, you can go visit without much concern too. Because that's another problem that people are having, that they can't even see their own family. Like they gotta. I haven't seen my grandmother in months because it's like, I don't want to go over there because I was out at the supermarket and who knows? Like, I don't want to risk it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, my grandmother was in hospice care, and unfortunately she lived on Kauai, which is where my dad is originally from. Unfortunately, she passed away, a couple months ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And my dad couldn't even fly back for the funeral because of the pandemic.
Right.
And it was just like, timing could not be worse. And there's a lot of people all over the world going through the same thing. And yeah, my heart goes out to them because, some people are literally breathing their last breath completely alone because family and friends can't be there by their side. And I can't imagine a worse way to pass on to the next life, or whatever you want to call it, than just being alone in some hospital bed.
Yeah, that's got to be devastating. I've always told jokingly said that, like, if I get to the point where I'm like hanging on by a thread, some machine is keeping me alive, just pick a date, just get everybody together, and then pull it, and then we're good. Just get everybody together, because what's the point at that, for me personally? And I know a lot of people are like, oh, every day is a blessing, but if I can't even wipe my own ass, I don't want to be around for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call that a blessing.
Yeah, that's not a blessing for anyone. Someone's gonna have to clean that up, and it's it's a mess. But what can you say? That's something that I've always tried to push on people, that not to get sad about family members passing and all that, because it's the only thing that's inevitable. So the more we prepare for something like that mentally, the better it'll be for everyone in the end. Because, there's people lose their family member and their life is over. Like I can't process living life without my grandma. It's like, you're going to have to. It's going to happen. We're all going to go. It's just a matter of getting prepared mentally and staying positive,
Yeah, I've, now as the years go by, I'm becoming more and more cognizant of that. My own mortality, as well as, like my parents. I mean, obviously they've been there literally my whole life. I don't know what life is like without them. So now, I'm in my 40s now. I'm slowly but surely, mentally and emotionally preparing myself for when that day does come. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, it's not going to happen for a while, but I'm definitely kind of preparing myself, and just so I don't completely lose my shit.
Yeah, and it goes for anybody that has of any like religion. Like if you're in any religion or you have any belief system, every religion has a what happens after death scenario. Whatever mm-hmm. it may be. Start studying about that. That's all I tell people all the time. Like, look into that. It's going to happen, right? So why not be as prepared as you can be for it? I was kind of thrown into it like a baby in a swimming pool. Like, learn to swim because of the weird the car accident that I had. I think we talked about it a while back, but it was just one of those things where it just forced me to. Oh wait, something crazy happens when you're disconnected from your body. So let's look into that. But not a lot of people waste time reading on that. They're too busy living, right? To be prepared about what happens after you go.
Yeah, everybody's living in the now. But yeah, I mean, like you said, the only guarantees in life, as they say, are death and taxes.
Death and taxes, right?
We're all going to experience both.
Yep. I just did my taxes, speaking of, and I don't understand it. I really don't. I'm an adult now. I've done my taxes every year, and I still don't get it. I do it because I have to, because otherwise they'll come get me. But I still, at the end of the day, I'm like, well, why are they taking all that money away from me and then giving me back some of it? Like, I don't understand the process of it. I know the taxpayers' money pays for public schools and all that stuff, but I don't understand. I really don't. I just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit, like adulting type shit that I should know about, and I just don't.
Yeah,
and I just don't. I don't have the brain for it. It's usually I've had people try to explain certain things to me, like financial stuff or like I said, adult stuff, and it just goes in one ear and out the other with me. And it's a left brain, right brain kind of thing. And taxes. I just tell my tax guy, just give me a list of what you need. I'll send it to you, and I'll just hope for the best.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't even have a tax guy at this point. I've just been doing the TurboTax thing. They make it easy. They're like, oh, hey, you did your taxes last year. Here, we're going to just pre-fill all your information for you. And, did you do this year? No? Okay, just click here. So, I'm probably losing out on money for not having a tax guy and not writing off every single thing that I have, because some of these tax dudes are very sneaky. They're like, you can write off your belts and your socks and anything that you, like everything that you use to wear while you're working. I'm like, all right, cool, sure, whatever. But I just, I don't keep receipts anymore. So I'm just kind of whatever makes it easy.
I try to pay attention to stuff like that. Like you said, like receipts and what I can write off, what I can't write off, and like gas mileage and stuff like that. But I'm good for a couple weeks, and then it just goes away.
Is it one of those New Year's resolutions things? Like, I'm going to keep every receipt this year, and we're going to do it. And then March comes around, like, nah, I'm good.
Exactly. Yeah, my wife is always on my case about, dude, save the receipts, dude, write down your mileage. I'm like, I know, I keep forgetting. It's just not my, not my bag.
Not your Oh man.
Being a responsible adult is not my thing.
It's just, that's something I feel that I should have learned that in school, right? Because I mean, my parents were immigrants. They didn't really know much about it. They're not going to teach me anything about it. So I should have learned stuff like that in school. I'm partially responsible for skipping classes and chasing after girls, but make the classes interesting so I'm not trying to skip class.
Exactly. Yeah. You gotta sugarcoat it or put bright lights on it for me to pay attention to it.
That's why I learned Japanese. My Japanese teacher knew how to do it. He would bring anime on Fridays, so it would cheer us up to be in that class. He'd bring candy and just random comic books for us to look at while he was teaching. It kept us engaged. He knew that that's what we needed, because otherwise we wouldn't be paying attention to trying to learn a new language.
Yeah, he got it. He understood.
Yeah,
he felt your pain. Yeah,
it's nuts. In talking about that, I have a couple friends that are teachers, and you know how weird it's got to be teaching kids over Zoom.
Right.
And I see memes online of students, setting up photographs of themselves, kind of like if they're there but they're not there.
Right. Yeah. Cardboard cutout
of the picture of them. It's like, that's got to be tough. I mean, I would do that. That seems like something I would do. Just find a way to put a picture of myself so I can go do stuff while we're Zooming.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, the teacher thing. I mean, being a teacher without a pandemic is hard enough. It's an extremely thankless job for shit pay. And I mean, nobody becomes a teacher for, to be rich and famous. They do it because they love teaching. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, I can't imagine what it's like for a teacher right now to, set up a curriculum and, plan a class over a computer, trying to teach over a computer screen, which, I mean, that's better than nothing, obviously, but it kind of goes along the same lines of a live show. It's not the same if you're not physically there and present and interacting with another human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my respect goes out to teachers for sure.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of adjusting, I would say. A lot of trying to figure out if the kids are even paying attention, because you got all these little squares on your screen. I'm assuming the teacher's got all the different students on the Zoom call with the little squares. It's I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard for the students too. I mean, they're not used to this way of quote unquote going to school. So, I mean, if you're sitting at home, I can only imagine that there's got to be distractions left and right.
For sure. For
sure. But then again, also too, with the whole cardboard cutout thing, it's a lot easier for kids to get away with shit now.
Yeah. It's I found that it's weird. I'm more productive at work now that I'm working from home, I feel, than I used to be. I feel like I'm able to get more done, and I'm also able to get more done in life, because I'm here. I was losing 2 hours to commute every day, and, not just the commute, but just the time it takes to leave my desk to go to my car. There's people you run into, and you know what I mean? There's just, I was losing time. Now I have more time. I'm right here. And if I need to get up real quick to go answer the door or, do something, it's right there. So all of that's very convenient, but it's an internal battle all the time to be like, oh my God, I just want to lay on the couch.
Right. Yeah. See that's what I'm saying. It's there's too many temptations or distractions, readily available.
Yeah.
When you're at home. So I totally get what you're saying. I mean, if I had a dime for every time I was distracted by just walking past my TV and see, oh, I haven't seen this episode yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just sitting there for the next hour watching this episode when I should have been doing something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tricky.
Well, I guess, people are doing what they can. There's talk of like certain companies switching to work from home permanently, which I'm kind of cool with because, some jobs can be done like this.
Right.
And if you can save money on real estate, as a business owner, if you don't need to have that second floor or that, those extra offices because people are just home and you can save that money. I mean, that's a smart money move for me, I think.
Yeah, and you're not spending as much money on gas or wear and tear of your car if you're commuting to your job, or like even just like eating out. Like a lot of people go out to lunch every day, at their job, and now that that's not really a thing, you're saving money on that that lunch bill. But I don't know. I'm just trying to find a silver lining in
it. Yeah. I don't know. I think once everything, the vaccine rolls out and people are more accepting of the fact that we have to get it and we have to have a card and we can go back to the office as long as you have that card or something like that. I think there is a possibility that we go back to normal. But it's still not going to be normal. There's still going to be people with masks and.
Yeah, I highly, highly doubt that we will ever go back to what we knew as normal pre-March of 2020. There might be some semblance of it here and there, but overall, there's no way of going back to what we thought was normal. I don't think, anyway.
What's it going to take for you to be comfortable performing at a show indoors?
Oh man, I don't know, because it seems like the whole, I don't know if you want to call it like a narrative or this whole overarching story of the pandemic. It just seems to be changing every week, if not every day. There's this vaccine and then there's that vaccine. This one, you have to have two of them. This one only needs one. This one's more effective than the other.
There's variations of the virus itself already coming out, mutations.
There's a more intense strain of the virus now. And, it's almost, it seems like we can't get ahead of it. And I don't know why or how. It's just, I think it's mostly because nobody was prepared for it. But as far as like playing a live show, I don't know. I really don't. Like, I definitely don't want to be the first.
Right. Yeah, everybody that I've known, like I know a bunch of the comedians that go to the Comedy Store, they all left to Texas. And a few of them, they went to Texas without getting the virus, and they're like, we're going to go to Texas because they're open and we're going to play some shows. And then they all got the virus.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. And it's
like Joe Rogan. Like Joe Rogan moved to Texas, right?
Rogan moved. Tony Hinchcliffe moved. Rogan was doing shows in Texas with Dave Chappelle and Tony, and Chappelle got the virus, and so did Tony.
Yeah,
and it's like,
I just heard about that.
Like, what did you expect, guys? Like,
right.
I know there's that whole crowd of people that think it's all fake or doesn't exist or whatever. And like, I'm sorry, it's definitely real, and you definitely get sick. Maybe you don't get so sick that you die. Maybe you're lucky, but it's definitely a real thing. Look at Maynard just announced he's got it for the second time.
I saw that, yeah, and he was basically kind of saying the same thing, like, this shit is real, like, and
he already
sucks.
got permanent lung damage from the first round,
right? And he's still dealing with that.
Yeah,
and he got it again, and so yeah.
But again, and not to talk shit, but like, what are you doing? Why are you getting it? Why are you getting it again?
True.
What are you doing over there?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I get that people need to, I totally get the people freaking out. I get the people that are like, oh, I need to go out. I get it. I want to go out too. I want to go out so bad. I want to go to all the shows.
Yeah.
But, we're never going to get out of this if we keep dicking around. That's how I see it.
But there's also too, like I've seen people or I've heard of people who, were super careful, took every precaution possible.
That's true too. Yeah, I have seen that.
They covered all their bases and they still got it somehow.
That's true too. Yeah.
So, nobody's safe really,
Now, and there's that crowd of people that are like, well, if we all get it, then we'll be fine. And I mean, I don't know how I even feel about that. Like, I guess I'm not a scientist. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I'm not educated enough to even really form a solid opinion about it. Because it's just so hard because there's so much information and I guess what we're calling it now disinformation. Mm-hmm. Who knows what is accurate, what isn't, and it's especially with social media and the internet. Everybody's like shouting at once.
Yeah.
And it's just a huge wall of noise, and it's just fucking exhausting. I like to stay informed and stay on top of what's going on, but there's sometimes where, I get 10 minutes into watching the nightly news. And I'm just like, I got to turn this off.
Yeah. I can't even watch the news anymore. To me, that's a no already. I occasionally, what I've been doing lately is I'll pull up, I hate Twitter, but I'll pull it up and I'll just look at the top 10, whatever's trending, just to give me like a slight peace of mind that the world hasn't ended yet. I'm just like, okay, they're still arguing in Congress or something, and the virus is still a thing, and we're still waiting for the vaccine. All right, cool. And then just go back to, let's focus on doing, the podcast, or let's play a video game, or let's maybe work on some music or some art. Because if we really sit down and pay attention to everything that's going on, that becomes your life. And you hear these people talk about it, like, oh, you're brainwashed. All you're watching is the media and the blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, but they're right. That is brainwashing you that's all you want to talk about. Whatever side of it you're on. Like if you're on the left side, it's all that news, and then the other side, who cares? Like why are you picking a side? Like what is this? Do we blame Marvel for making movies about civil wars? Like what's going on here?
Yeah, there definitely, especially over the past few years, there's definitely kind of like a theoretical hard line drawn in the sand. You're either, for both sides, it seems like you're either with us or you're against us.
Yeah.
And this is by far the most divided that I've seen this country in my lifetime. And my parents said the same thing. And it's not helping. And I forgot what I was watching. I think it was that. What was that documentary on Netflix that was basically about social media?
Social Dilemma.
Yeah, and the one guy in there was kind of just, in a very blanket way, saying, social media, for all the pros and cons, the cons are extremely dangerous. Mm-hmm. And, he said this could very well lead to a civil war.
Yeah.
Which, that's, when you sit down and think about it, that's fucking frightening.
Yep. Yeah, it's frightening as hell, man. But I can't. I don't want to keep going back and blaming the pandemic, because it feels like I'm just kind of trying to put a blame on something as opposed to like internally, which is what people should do. Take a look inside before putting the blame on someone or something else. But it's definitely not helping that we are all sucked into this, world, our own individual bubbles. Everybody's got, like my father, for example, won't even talk to me anymore because he fell down that rabbit hole of let me look down, let me look up these conspiracies and this thing and that thing. And everybody seems to have their facts, right? Their information or whatever. And it's not, it's like I said, it's like brainwashing. Like you getting sucked into this world really stops you from being able to come up with logical conclusions with people, or even just being civil. Like, hey, fine, that's what you believe, good for you. You know, can we have these tacos together? Like, what's
right.
what's the situation? Like, why are we fighting about it? I don't really care at the end of the day what you believe in. You know, we can't have that anymore. So it worries me that we're going down a path where we're going to have a separation of states like that. I feel like eventually it's happened in other countries. Why wouldn't it happen here? You know?
Right. And there's the overall, like, I guess, view that a lot of us as Americans have is that, like, well, that could never happen here. This is America. Like,
totally
no, this
happen here.
this could very well happen here, and it seems to be kind of going that way, unfortunately. And like, you're kind of touching on what you were saying before. Everybody has their own beliefs and opinions about things, but it just seems like in this day and age, when you have these beliefs and opinions, you are just have this ironclad grip on them, and you will not sway. You have zero wiggle room. What you believe is 100% gospel. It's the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, there's no, like you're saying, like having a civil conversation with somebody. You know, no, I think it's very unlikely for a lot of people in this day and age to have a conversation with somebody and have their response be, "Oh, I never thought of it like that."
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just my way or the fucking highway.
It's weird. It's weird that that's happening. I don't know how we stop it, because everyone will always just find their thing, you know, like especially the conspiracy theory ones. That one really bugs me, because I'm always like, well, you know, convince me. Show me what you got. Like,
right.
What did you find? Oh, there's all this evidence. And like, okay, where is it? Can I see it? No, but there's this, and check out this video. And it's like, there's never everybody. It's almost like everybody's just smoking a little too much weed and watching YouTube videos. Like, settle down.
Yeah.
Like, what do you got going on over there? I don't know. I don't think pulling the internet from people is the solution either. You know, like shutting down the internet, like then you got people freaking out like, oh, they're trying to censor us. And I really don't know anymore. I don't know how to solve this issue, except for, why don't you just go your way and I'll go mine. And a separation, you know, of states is maybe a good thing. I don't know. You don't want to say it. You want to say, hey, it's the United States and we're supposed to rally together. But there's too many people in this country as it is. Like, there's just the tribe is too big.
Yeah, there's too many people. The tribe is too big, and everybody's got something to say.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, that's kind of like the. Let me get in an area where there's better light so you can see me.
There we go.
I guess that's a little bit better. I totally forgot what I was just about to say.
Tribalism and too many people.
Yeah. Oh, that's, you know, the internet in itself, you know, 20 years ago was such a awesome revolutionary thing, because everybody now had a voice and an opinion, and they could, you know, basically share their opinion and tell everybody what they think. And now it's kind of like, okay, the internet has ruined us, because everybody can share their opinion and share their beliefs and, you know, just blast it out there, which doesn't really, I don't know. Like I said, it's like everybody just talking at once, and it just becomes this big ball of noise. And that's, you know, people like myself just tune out. I just don't have the bandwidth or stamina for it.
Yeah. And there's the few, it provides people that are smart with the opportunity to get their message in front of more people. There's people that know how to work the system, that make something go viral, or, people like Joe Rogan. Thanks to his popularity, whatever happens on that show is going to affect the millions of people that are listening to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's definitely one of those paradoxical things where I want people to be free, but then there's also like, if we don't have any kind of way to regulate how much freedom we're giving people, but then people start calling you tyrannical, or you're trying to control, you're a communist. Like, no, it's not that. Some people don't need a platform. Some people are just shitty.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which is, I think that's is like Facebook and Twitter have kind of like clamped down on certain groups, and which is kind of, I guess, pissing those groups off, because freedom of speech and my First Amendment rights and all this, but like you said, there has to be some kind of like, I don't know if you want to call it a regulation or some guidelines or rules to follow. Otherwise, it's just going to turn into a giant shit show.
Yeah, well, we've seen the evidence of that with what happened at the Capitol and all that shit. And I try to explain this to people because this is my day job, and I can't really talk about exactly what I do or where I work, but the main part of my job revolves around terms of services, like the shit that you agree to when you start your Facebook account. There's a terms of service with a contract.
Right.
And most people just hit agree because they want to go on Facebook. They don't even fucking read it. They're like, it's too much. Scroll down to the bottom, hit agree, and go. You're using a private program with their own set of rules, and if you break those rules, no matter what side you're on, and some people are like, no, they're only going after the Republicans. Like, no, because I have friends that were trying to organize BLM protests, and let's get together over here and we're going to fucking show them. And they were banned too. So they're banning anyone that breaks the rules. That's really what it comes down to. And people don't think that way. They're like, it's censoring the First Amendment rights. Like, well, you don't have to use the Facebook. You can,
you clicked I accept on the terms of service or whatever. And I'm just as guilty too of, I click the, I accept, and I don't even realize it. Mm-hmm. It's just so second nature to me now.
Yeah. And there's that discussion of whether or not they make it easy for you to accept it too. Like the brain manipulation that, that they may do it, they may or they may not be doing. But either way, I think before we agree to any kind of contract, we should read it, because that's how we get caught. Like that's what happened with all these people that get blocked. And it's not communism. They're not censoring anyone. Rules were broken. If you don't want to adhere to those rules, then don't use Facebook. Go somewhere else. And that's what they were doing with Parler and all these other things. But what people don't understand is all those other programs have rules too.
Yeah.
A lot of I spoke to a lot of people that were using the app WhatsApp to communicate. And then once Facebook bought it, they were like, oh, I'm jumping ship to Telegram because WhatsApp is on Facebook and they're going to censor me. I'm like, have you read the Telegram terms of service? Because they're like, oh, they don't share your information on Telegram. I'm like, actually, look, right here on this page, right here, it says if the government wants your information, they have to send it to them. And they're like, no way. I'm like, yeah, way, dude. Every program. If you have a cell phone, and that goes to the people that are scared of the vaccine, the microchip, the microchip people, you have a cell phone with GPS tracking. They already know where you are.
Yeah. And you're staring at this, pseudo microchip all day, scrolling, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah. They're watching, they're recording everything. They're recording the microphone. Dude, you know that if you have a Google account, you can go to this website where they have everything you said into the microphone recorded and saved?
not surprised.
Yeah, I've looked it up. I went to the website and I'm like, oh shit, and it's just me like, where is the nearest cookie place? And
Right.
but they have all of that stored in a hard drive. Like that is already happening. It's been happening. Like it's in the terms of service of Google when you signed up for it. We're just so accustomed to using these programs like Facebook and Google and everything that they're a part of our life, and we automatically assume that it's some kind of, it belongs to us. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to Google. It belongs to Facebook. You don't have to use it. We can go back to writing letters, if you want to do that.
Yeah, who's going to want to do that?
Exactly. It's all the convenience. And if you want convenience, you're going to have to agree to those terms. That's it. You want to go back to yelling, yelling for your friend across the block, because you don't want to call them, or it can't go back in time. That's all I'm saying. People need to get used to that. I don't know. My father was the main example. He was like, I'm quitting WhatsApp because Telegram doesn't record your info. I'm like, yes, they do. There's a Patriot Act that's already been in place for many, many years. There's no escaping it.
Yeah, there really isn't. And I mean, if you're so concerned about it, what the fuck are you doing that that makes you so uncomfortable?
Yeah, what are you worried about? Are you making bombs over there? Like, what's
right?
Why are you so concerned? I'm okay with the government watching what I'm doing because I'm literally on the couch watching anime or something. Like, they're not gonna see anything.
Right?
They definitely don't want to see me naked on the couch. I'll tell you that much. They're tuning out.
Yeah. If anything, it's a bum out for them.
Yeah, they're like, oh God, this guy doesn't wear shirts. I've actually gone to that point now in my life where I'm uncomfortable wearing clothing. I wear clothes. I put on a shirt and pants for the podcast, and if I have to go to the supermarket, and at the supermarket, I'm always like, man, these pants, they're wrapped all around my legs now. It's weird. I don't like it anymore.
But that I remember, like, when the lockdowns first started happening, they were saying, to kind of, I guess, like, acclimate yourself to this way of living now. They said, get dressed like you normally would to go about your day. Put on a shirt, pair of pants, some shoes. And I was doing that for a while. And I'm like, why the fuck am I? And I wasn't even like dressed up. I was just wearing like everyday clothes. But I'm like, why did I bother doing this? I'm not going to go anywhere. Like, I'm going to go put on some gym shorts and a shitty t-shirt and just sit in front of the TV. Like, there's no point in dressing up.
Seriously, man. I'm not wearing clothes most of the time now. And my wife smartened up and she smarter than I am. So she ordered some, like, the only thing that is exposed to us is our balcony. And, there's windows that are facing neighbors and stuff. So she bought this, like, wall of fake leaves to block all of it. So now all you see is leaves. So now I can just walk around naked. There's no problem, Yeah,
let your freak flag fly.
Dude, what's the point of getting dressed? It's the worst. There's no point. And, it's going to be uncomfortable. If everything goes back to normal and I have to go to the office, it's going to take me quite some time to get used to being dressed all the time.
Yeah. Another one, too, is it's kind of gross, but it's like daily showering. Oh,
yeah. I mean, if you're not doing much, it's actually bad for you to wash, constantly be washing yourself with soap over and over.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. The natural body's oils are a little bit, they're there for a reason. And yeah, definitely the daily shower is out the window. That's not a thing.
Right.
I'm not going
full. What are we, crazy?
Who is it? Is it Adam Carolla doesn't shower? I forget who it is, but there's like a famous dude that just doesn't shower at all. And I'm like, I'm not there, but definitely not the daily thing. That's not a thing.
Right. Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
What other?
And you're saving water too.
Yeah. What other, like, adjustments have you done? Like, food wise, how are you with food? Like, did you learn to cook more? Is the wife just in charge of all the cooking, or are you guys ordering out all the time?
Not really. I mean, I'm a nightmare in the kitchen. I don't even like eating my own cooking.
Oh no.
So like my wife and I kind of have like two separate eating schedules.
Okay.
So, but I mean, going back to the whole adult thing, I really should learn how to cook because my skills in the kitchen are pretty pathetic.
If there was ever a time, man, I mean,
I know now is the time for sure.
Start watching Food Network and like cooking shows. That's what got me inspired. I started watching like Iron Chef and all these like actual cooking shows where they're like Good Eats, Alton Brown. That really is what pushed me to be like, you know what, I want to learn to cook. And now it's I look forward to cooking. Some days I don't because if obviously just order something easy and quick, get it out of the way. But
Right.
But I do enjoy going out and getting like ingredients for a meal. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to need all this stuff to make that one dish that I want to make.
Yeah, a lot with me. A lot of it is just sheer laziness. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
like I wish I had a better excuse, but I mean, cooking takes effort. To make a nice meal, it takes effort, and you spend so much time preparing the meal and cooking the meal. The fraction of it is the actual eating of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? The ratio of preparing,
2
and
hours cooking, 10 minutes eating.
Right. Yeah. The trade-off isn't all that great unless the meal is absolutely exquisite. But then again, when it comes to me, I can't do that. Like I'm not, I don't have that skill to make an awesome meal. So I'm kind of stuck with what I've got. But they're like, my wife watches a lot of the cooking shows, and I'll kind of like stop for a second and watch and be like, "Ooh, that looks good. Too bad I'm never gonna make it."
Have you been doing a lot more just ordering out, I guess?
No, I mean, I make like super easy meals. Like I'll make like a chicken salad for dinner or something, which is bland, and I get halfway through it and I'm just over it. But like I said, I'm just kind of stuck with that. So I really should get on the cooking train and at least learn how to make a few decent dishes.
And what about health wise? Have you like increased any kind of working out? I know you were, you're in shape and you've done a lot to get into better shape through the years. So are you increasing your workout routine? Has the laziness of the pandemic gotten to you at all and like made you reduce instead?
Fortunately not. Luckily, like I do work out on a pretty regular basis. And that's actually helped me a lot with just dealing with the pandemic. Just getting up and moving for an hour or two, it definitely helps for sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard when gyms are closed. So you kind of have to get creative with whatever you're trying to do workout wise. But it doesn't take a lot. You could have a couple dumbbells and like a room to do some makeshift pull-ups on, and you're fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, thank God I actually do exercise on a pretty regular basis. Otherwise, I'd go nuts just sitting here in front of the TV. Or because I mean, you can stay busy for only so long.
Yeah.
There is a point throughout the day where you just kind of have to stop. So luckily I've been able to kind of fill a little bit of my time with actual physical movement.
Good, man. Yeah, and a lot of people don't take into account how important it is for your mental health too to exercise. Like it's not just for your body. Your brain starts producing these awesome chemicals to get you hyped, get you feeling good. I've been doing a lot of VR exercise lately.
Yeah, I didn't understand that, like the whole exercise is good for your body and your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was younger, I would do a workout and I'd be like, oh, this fucking sucks. Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after I started doing it on a regular basis to the point where I'd feel kind of weird if I didn't exercise in some way, shape, or form. Now I totally understand the mental part of it. Like, when I'm done with a workout, I feel at least somewhat accomplished or somewhat productive. Like, I wasn't a complete total waste of space throughout the day.
Yep.
You know, I had at least an hour or two of not just lounging around looking for something to do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's super important. And I said I've been doing this VR exercise thing that is actually been very motivating for me personally, because I have a hard time in the gym. Like, I lose interest. I'm not like most dudes that go to the gym to check out chicks. Like, I'm married, so I'm not using it as an inspiration, you know?
And yeah, I just want to get in, do what I want to do, and then get out. Like, I'm not there to loiter around and shoot the shit with people. Like, I don't talk to a single soul when I'm at the gym.
Yeah.
And I honestly really don't want anybody talking to me either, because I just want to get in and get the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah. So this thing I've been doing, you put on the headset and it puts you in a outdoor, like, it's like a location, like the Great Wall of China. So you're standing on the Wall of China and you look around, it's the wall going that way, and there's like the sky and whatnot. So, or you could be on a beach somewhere, on a mountaintop, and the technology has gotten to that point now where it looks pretty real. Like, it
right.
looks like I'm there, and then music starts playing, and there are these things that come at you. They're like music notes. And the exercise is you hitting these notes,
okay,
as they come at you, and then they also bring like triangles will come at you, and you have to get inside of it. So I realized that what you do is you're doing squats.
Gotcha.
So you squat down, and then you go left and right, and you get up, and you keep doing that, and you're like punching these notes. So it's kind of like boxing exercise, really. As the music's coming at you, you're doing this stuff a lot, and you're ducking and diving. So
it's almost like a video game,
right? But looks in the world,
right? Yeah. That sounds way more fun than the workouts.
Right. That's been super motivating for me, because like I actually it tracks all your progress. You can set goals. So you're like, I want to burn this many calories. So it'll tell you, like, keep going. You're almost there. Here's your goal. And, as it's coming at you, like, don't give up. There's also, like, a dude talking to you. There's a personal trainer, like, hey, you're almost there. You're about to hit your goal. Just a few more, blah, blah, blah. And, man, it's life-changing, like, really, because I hate the gym. I hate the gym, and I hate just, even when I'm here at home doing, kettlebells or something, I start getting, I'm like, can we finish this already? Like, it's boring.
Yeah, it gets old pretty quick.
Yeah.
So with the headset, because usually the headsets are kind of bulky. Does it get in the way at all?
No. So here's the headset that I've been using, and it's pretty small, I would say. Once it pops into my head, it's literally right there, and
okay.
There's no wires. It's wireless. So with the Oculus Quest 2. So it's wireless. You just strap it in tight on your head, and then it has two little controllers that you have in your hand. That's what's detecting your movements. And
very cool,
dude. It's mind blowing. I can't really play many of the games. They have some of the games in there where you're shooting, and it kind of makes me dizzy. But for some reason, the exercise one, since I'm moving my whole body, that one it doesn't cause any nausea. It actually makes me feel weird when I come out of it. When I finish the workout and I put the headset down, I'm like, whoa. I'm back in my house.
It's kind of like after you get your sea legs after being on a boat and then walking onto dry land, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. I got to get used to this.
Yeah, it's weird. And typing is extra weird. After I'm out of there, like when I sit down to type something on the computer, my fingers feel weird.
Really?
Yeah. And it's an interesting concept, because that's something I've always been into, is the idea of out-of-body experiences, and what happens when you're dreaming at night. Is it just your imagination, or are you visiting some kind of parallel universe or something?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So being able to just plug in to a parallel universe basically is a little surreal, you know.
The future is now.
The future is now, sir, and it's only going to get better. That's I'm looking forward to Elon's Neuralink thing. Have you heard about this?
I heard something about it. What's the overall gist of it?
So the current state of it is that they have to open up a little piece of your skull, tiny little circle, and they put a chip in there. And it has little wires that'll hook up to some of the nerve endings in your brain or whatever, and it helps you. It's meant to help people that are blind or people that have limb issues that that lose feeling or any nerve damage type deals. People with Down syndrome and all of that. It's supposed to help all of that, but also it'll help you connect your brain to your phone or the internet or video games. So Elon came out and said he hooked it up to a monkey, and the monkey was playing video games with his mind. So I'm very interested in that. I think it's a little scary. It's a little scary.
It is, yeah.
Especially with hackers,
Oh, yeah. I mean, as soon as they work out all the bugs and all the glitches or whatever there may be, fucking sign me up.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna wait for the version 5 or 6 Pro, where they don't have to open your skull anymore. Like I'm sure eventually, like that's now. I'm assuming in like 10 years they won't even need to drill the hole. It'll probably just be something you wear, like some kind of microfiber thing that you wear on your skull. I don't know, like in Cyberpunk, something like that.
Yeah.
Because the hole in the head thing kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if I had the choice to put a hole in my skull or not, I'd go with not.
Not, yeah.
So yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I'll wait a few years.
Yeah.
To see how it pans out.
But I do think that's eventually that's where we're heading, is being able to communicate with our devices just with thought, I guess.
I mean, look how far we've come in the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I'm even talking to you over a computer, like that was some Star Trek shit.
Yeah.
Like in the 70s.
Yeah, it was sci-fi. Science fiction. Nope, it's a thing.
Right. It's again, the future is now.
Yeah, man. It's wild, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm all for it. I'm not, I'm not scared of where it takes us. The only thing that, like I said, the only thing that scares me of Neuralink stuff is the hackers. Like, I don't want to be susceptible to getting hacked, and somebody controls my body to go do things like that. That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, the it's not the technology that scares me. It's what people will do with it.
Right.
It's the scary thing.
Yeah.
And we don't really have a great track record.
Nope.
So
no.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that we'd be responsible enough and smart enough to not fuck things up like that. But then again, I mean, just look at the past few years, and it's not exactly encouraging.
Well, there's also the looming possibility of aliens sooner or later.
Yep.
That's cool. So I'm excited for that. Maybe they help us out in understanding some of that technology, and maybe not being such shitty people to each other.
Or they just take a look at us and they're like, you guys fucked it all up. Sorry, later.
I said this, I forget who I said this one to, but it's kind of like if I was an alien driving by Earth and I see what's going on inside and also outside, because I've seen satellite imagery of the Earth covered in garbage, just like space garbage, satellites and whatever. It's kind of like driving through like Skid Row. You just like lock the doors, put the windows up, keep going.
Yeah, let's get out of here. We got to get out of here.
Keep driving.
This sucks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think that's where we're at with aliens. I'm sure they've passed by us. Hopefully, they don't get the idea to gentrify the planet.
Who knows, man?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, hey, I want to wrap it up. We've been talking for almost an hour and a half, but musically, you guys wrote the album, right?
Yep.
no time frame right now for release because there's really no say.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of eyeballing May for a release, but like I said, who knows? I mean, everything is up in the air. So,
are you gonna do another track like you did with Save Us, like release another single maybe?
Yeah, we will. Okay. I can't remember the official date. I believe it's March, so next month, basically.
Okay.
We actually filmed 3 videos over a weekend back toward the tail end of the summer.
Nice.
One of them being Save Us, which is obviously already out.
Yeah.
And then we have two more kind of being prepped and ready to be served, so to speak. So I believe March is going to be the next single drop.
And what should we be looking forward to? Is it is the sound going to continue to be as heavy? Is there another direction? Like, some bands like, every song is different. Like, where are we at with the new music?
There are definite heavy bangers on there. I mean, it's definitely Atreyu.
Okay.
So, which, I mean, that could mean just about anything, really. A lot of people would consider that complete shitty music. Some people think it's the greatest thing on earth. I mean, it's all over the place, really. Which is, I mean, kind of what we've always done. But yeah, I'm just kind of itching to get it out there into the world, mostly because that's just what I'm used to as far as like being in a professional recording band. You have your writing sessions, then your recording sessions, and then your touring cycle after that. So I'm trying to kind of like readjust my brain to like, not to constantly tell myself it's not going to work like that right now because there's a pandemic going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we actually have a show booked in October at the Aftershock Festival.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I'm in my head, I'm like, I'm going to that if it happens.
Right. So yeah, I keep telling myself the same thing. Like, I'm stoked on it for sure, because I obviously we all want to get out there and start playing again, but I don't want to get my hopes up either.
Yeah.
So it's just playing it by ear like we have been doing for the past year, basically.
Well, fingers crossed that show happens. The lineup looks cool so far, so I definitely want to go up. There's a lot of homies playing, so it'll be like a nice big homie reunion for everyone, I think.
If the show does happen, definitely hit me up.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think that the first few shows that we get are going to be weird because people are going to be emotional and kind of still apprehensive, I think. Like, you're going to have those shows that are going to feel like, I shouldn't be here, but I'm here, I
think it's going to be kind of across the board. Like you were saying, people who are kind of might be a little timid about it. People who are just going to carry on like it's just another day. And there's going to be people who are just so stoked to be at a live show that they're just going to be like, they're going to be stoked the whole day.
It's going to be a lot of crying. A lot of people, joyful tears, A
lot of joyful tears, yeah. Happy tears.
Happy tears. But cool, man. I'm stoked. Hopefully the show happens. Like I said, we'll all come hang out and, have a good time. And hopefully we get to hear more Atreyu in March.
Yep.
Also, in the Fake Figures, is there a time frame used for that as well?
Not really. I'd like to think that we might have something out in 2021.
Okay.
It just honestly, it just kind of depends on how quickly I can get the rest of these songs written. So yeah, hopefully 2021. But like the overall lesson that I've taught myself in this past year is just don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, just keep working, I guess. Keep trying to write and keep the hope there.
Put your head down and just grind.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, dude, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. It's been a while since we've hung out, so I'm glad that we had some time to chill and talk.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Always good to see you, bud.
Yeah, man. Everybody that's listening or watching, please follow. Where's your socials?
I use mostly Instagram. It's at Travis Miguel, just one word. Twitter is the same. Facebook, I don't really mess around with too much anymore because I guess that's just for like people like my parents to
or me. I think that's where we communicate.
But yeah, if those Instagram and Twitter, and even Twitter, I don't really use all that much. It's like 95% Instagram at Travis Miguel.
You don't have a TikTok? You're not dancing on TikTok for people?
No, that's a young man's game.
You know what you do? You start posting up your workouts on TikTok. People will start following you for sure.
I'm not that guy. Like, I could never bring myself to like do a gym selfie and be like, check out my gains, or right with my jug of pink water and then my jug of blue water and all the, I end up looking like a race car with all my. Nah, that ain't me. I just want to get in and get the hell out.
Have you thought about doing Twitch streaming or anything like that? Maybe for like guitar playing, even just playthroughs. I
thought about it. Our drummer Brandon, he's way into the Twitch.
Yeah.
And he got into it like really quick. He wasn't really. He was kind of like the last person I would ever expect to be on Twitch, but he's all about it now. Our bass player Porter, he's on Twitch now too. So I think I'm next in line, but I don't have the right setup for it or the technical know-how how to set all that up. So I'd have to find somebody to kind of teach me how to do it. I mean, coming up with content like just seems like some people just have stuff lined up for like their whole week of Twitch streaming.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know if I'd have enough content that's even worth watching. Like
just stream yourself reading a book for an hour and a half.
I guess. I mean, our now frontman Brandon, we were recording up in Calabasas, and he just twitched himself driving up there, and people watched.
Yeah.
He's just driving a car.
The good thing about Twitch is that people can interact with you, and I think that's why it works with like mundane things, like, okay, he's driving. There's nothing really to watch, but if I type something, he might read it out loud and respond. Yeah. So that's one thing I do like about Twitch. That's got me interested. I've been preparing actually, because that's what my wife does. So I'm trying to prepare some kind of something on Twitch for people.
You think it'll be more like a gaming kind of?
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to have the interviews there as well. I do game, so why not? I could do that some of the days of the week. Instead of just playing by myself, I'm going to be playing while talking to the people that are watching me, I guess, if anybody does watch. So, I don't know. Yeah, I think gaming, a little bit of interviewing here or there. My idea originally, a while back, I wanted to do this was to have people, like, have you come over and we'll play a game,
That'd be cool.
Like a fighting game, and also ask questions and talk and whatever. It's like a little mini show, but we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But, hey, man, again, thanks again for your time, dude. And everybody, please follow Travis. Check out Fake Figures. Check out Atreyu's new music, March, hopefully. The new single.
Yep,
hopefully. And, yeah, keep on grinding, brother. I'll see you around.
Right on. All right, dude.
Take care. Cheers.
Take care. Later.
See the smoke rising from the bodies of the dead. Die. Tell me, are you tired of the rust? Lie. Can you feel your fucking soul? Carry the fire. There's darkness in our soul if we don't burn bright. Who's gonna save our souls? Save us! pretending that everything is gonna be alright. These are your last days now.